Hello, and thank you for joining us for this quick video on new updates to the HPNAP 3-day package. So, the state has recently come out with a new 3-day guide that they would like us to share with you all, and it's effective immediately. So, as soon as you see this video and hear this guidance, you can start using the new 3-day guide or the 3-day package guide. So, the 3-day package, as you know, if you're a pantry, is the minimum amounts of choices of food in each category that should be offered to a household based on how many people live in that household to make sure that they have enough to last them for at least 3 days. So, this is what the new package guidance looks like. This was the old guidance, so you've probably seen this plenty of times. So, what's new? Well, there's a new format. They have added an optional dairy category. The foods now are listed generally in their most common packaging size to make it easier to add up choices and calculate choices on the fly. And they have added some commonly requested foods to their list of examples of foods and corresponding choices. So I'll go over each of these in a little bit more depth. So the new format. So I want to be really clear that the number of choices has not changed. They have just adapted the way that they display how many choices are needed depending on household size. So the old guide had it displayed as kind of a grid. The new guide has this sort of stepwise visual to let us know how many choices of each category based on household size. So the numbers are exactly the same, they just look a little bit different. And actually, the new visual makes more sense in my brain. Hopefully, it does to yours as well. So, probably the biggest change that they made in this new guidance is that they've broken out the protein and dairy category into their own separate categories. So, in the old version, they are together. In the new version, they are not together. So, you'll see where that green arrow is in the dairy category on the new guidance. They have a little note that says offer based on product availability. So essentially, how they explained that to us was that dairy is optional but encouraged. So they understand that dairy is highly perishable, it can be expensive, and so they know that as a pantry you might not always have it available, and that's okay. Obviously, check in with our team here at the food bank if you are really struggling with dairy, and we'll see if we can maybe get some cold storage support for you or kind of figure out some other workarounds for you. But at the end of the day, if you do not have enough dairy to meet the minimums, that's okay. Offer it when you can, but you can still meet the 3-day package minimums without offering dairy. Now, the other thing that this means is that dairy can no longer be used as a protein choice. So, for example, you couldn't count a container of milk as a protein. All the protein choices have to come from this protein category. Another change that they made was just for a few of the different foods, they updated the package size and the corresponding choices to more accurately reflect what package size things usually come in. So, for example, peanut butter on the last guide was listed as an 18-ounce container for 3 choices. It is now listed as a 16-ounce container since that's usually what it comes in for 2 choices. Another example, eggs on the last one was listed as 6 eggs is 1 choice. Now it's just listed as a dozen eggs for 2 choices. So didn't really change, but it just reflects the fact that usually eggs come in a dozen. Same thing with meat. They had it listed as 2 choices for a half pound. Now it's 4 choices for 1 pound. So again, the ratio didn't change. It's just that meat usually comes by the pound. So now it's going to be a little easier to calculate how many choices are in a pound of meat because it's just listed right here. So take a look through the guide, see what other changes you notice. Again, most of them don't really change anything, they just reflect a more common package size and they reduce the amount of calculating that you need to do on your end. And lastly, they added some commonly offered foods that pantries across the state suggested. So they checked in with our food bank and some of our food pantries, as well as others across the state to see, are there certain foods that are points of confusion or that you feel should be counted differently? And then the state dietitians and nutritionists kind of went through and figured out what they wanted to add, what they could add. And this is what came of it. So in the proteins category, they added canned meals. So this is actually a suggestion that came out of our region, so thank you. But canned meals, so things like mac and beef or stews or other kind of ready meals in a can be counted as a protein as long as there's at least 7 grams of protein per serving in that food. And that's listed right in the guidance on the actual document. So you don't have to remember that in your brain. But that's a change that they made, which I think is going to be very welcome. They also added veggie burgers and they added choice guidance for canned beef and pork, which is helpful because we do pretty often have canned pork. And then in the grains category, they added how many choices would be recommended for tortillas, box stuffing, cornmeal, box mixes like pancake mix, and also individual oatmeal packets. So having these actually listed out as examples in the guidance is just going to make it a lot easier to calculate things and to know how many choices some of these really common foods can be offered for. So, next steps for you, go ahead and check out this new guidance, read through it, see if you have any questions. If not, go ahead and post it in your pantry. Let your volunteers and your team know about it. As soon as you watch this video and you have that guidance, then you are good to go. It can be effective immediately to start using. And let us know if you have questions. So, lastly, just a couple reminders. The choices on this guide are minimums, right? Not maximums. So if you can offer more than the choice minimum for a certain household size, then we absolutely encourage you to. If you can offer a 5 day package, you should absolutely go for it. Um, and I also wanted to mention that the examples of foods on this guidance document are not an exhaustive, all inclusive list. So if you have something that you're distributing a lot at your pantry that you feel like should count in one of these categories, reach out to our team and we can help you determine kind of how many choices it should count for, et cetera, et cetera. And then, like I said, we are here for questions. So we appreciate your flexibility with the change in this guidance. And if you have any questions or concerns or any thoughts about this at all, please reach out to us, your PPC team, your health and nutrition team, Amanda. All of us are here to support you. So thank you for all that you do. And thank you for watching our little video today.